48th MEMA looks up to the visionary enticement by our leadership to embrace a situation which is relevant at this particular time, and it's only natural that we get to know more about it. We should be a reference center in it and have the necessary research, academic input worldwide, integrated soon with our students as they have done on their own, and hopefully be a reference center for it, not in the region but in the world at large.
What we wanted to do is to create a platform which starts to reflect the complex nature of war and to also reflect the changing nature of war. We wanted to provide a platform which brought together all of the specialties that dealt with the complex nature of human health and what happens to it as a result of war, but to also bring together the three main disciplines that should be interacting, which is the humanitarian organizations like ICRC and MSF, the armies, which have a long tradition of a medical army corps, and the academia, which has been doing the research on this subject.
مستشفى الجامعة الأمريكية ببيروت كل سنة بتعقد هيدا المؤتمر الصحي. لهيدي السنة الموضوع هو جراحة الحرب، ولهي السبب عقدت شراكة مع اللجنة الدولية للصليب الأحمر. اللجنة الدولية عندها خبرة أكثر من 40 سنة بجراحة الحرب، ونحن اللجنة الدولية والحركة الدولية للصليب الأحمر والهلال الأحمر هي نشأت بناء على الحاجة للخدمات الصحية خلال الصراعات. جزء كبير من برنامجنا هو مكرس للشق الصحي، إن كان خدمات دعم للمراكز الصحة الأولية، وإن كان كمان عندنا مستشفيتين، ندعم مستشفيتين بطرابلس وببيروت لمعالجة جرحى الحروب.
We're delighted to be able to be here together with AUB, which is such a centre of excellence in the region. And as medics who often work on the front line, engaged in conflict settings, this Conflict Medicine Congress is a natural place for us to be present and to talk about what we do. Behind us here, we built a small, rather intense experience. It's a virtual reality experience where we hope that people who go through the experience will understand just how horrific it is when hospitals or medical facilities come under attack, which is something that is happening all too frequently in wars nowadays. Just slightly more than a year ago, unanimously signed, agreed at the UN, was a UN Security Council Resolution 2286, which was intended to protect hospitals and healthcare in conflict settings. And in the year since that was unanimously agreed, there are still too many medical facilities coming under attack. So for us, that's a really important part of conflict medicine, which is integral to making it possible for doctors, nurses, paramedics, all medical staff working in conflict to be able to do their job. They must be able to do so in safety and impartiality. What we've created here is a replica of the outside of MSF's hospital in Kunduz in Afghanistan, which was bombed in 2013.
One of the first victims of war is the health system. And even in terms of the public health system, destruction and disorganization, whether it's water and sanitation, and therefore you have a cholera epidemic in Yemen today, food distribution, and therefore you have massive malnutrition in various countries, shelter, primary health care. Polio has reappeared in Syria because they cannot complete immunization campaigns, as you heard earlier today, represented from the UHCR. it's important to know that if you don't have your electricity working and so forth, you really have to go back to a purely clinical approach to your patients. You have to look at your patient, not just the images and laboratory results. You have to listen to your patient. You have to smell your patient, and you have to perform the 10-finger whole body scan. Recycling surgical gloves, because you cannot get new supplies. So you finish the operation, before you take off your gloves, you wash them with soap and water and then bleach, eau de javel, all right? Bleach, you clean them off. You take them off, the nurses then powder them, they wash them, etc., and you put them through the autoclave and you reuse them.
The difference in a positive way is that when you're working in the war zone or austere environment, you can really concentrate on what you do best, what you think is important. There's not too many meetings, not too many administrative things. You concentrate on patients, and often you have multiple casualties.
Today I've been asked to speak about the health situation of refugees in Lebanon, the region, and also in Europe. Millions of refugees, billions of dollars, and these numbers have a tendency to dehumanize the situation. And I'd just like to remind you that behind these numbers are individuals, real people like you and me, families, parents, children, brothers and sisters, and in many cases, hopes and dreams that are vanishing fast.
The MEMA conference is about conflict medicine, and one of the major foci is taking care of the vast number of refugees in the Middle East region and taking care of their health, physical health, and their mental health. What we know, though, in addition, is that some of those refugees have also been tortured, physically or mentally, emotionally tortured, and that might have been a week ago or it might have been 10 years ago. And by a variety of perpetrators, some local rebels, some government, some other authorities. And one of the things we miss in taking care of people's health is that history of torture, because it's such a private, personal history. And so my area of expertise is in identifying people who were tortured. Torture is designed to hurt both our body and our mind, and our spirit and our soul. It's designed to hurt us now and in the future. So both the physical and the psychological scars are important to identify and to help treat. What we know is that the body heals quickly and the mind heals slowly.
When there's mass disaster, or massive conflict, you have to do different things. So you have to try to calm people. Many, or even sometimes when it's very hectic and very dangerous, most people, they may have symptoms of what we call acute stress. So they will be very much afraid. They will see what happened before their eyes. They will have intrusive memories. They will have nightmares.
We need to hear about the rapes, even within the shame and honor setting. And that is how you can, outside, activate the international community. I'm speaking now from a human rights perspective. If we don't know, we can't argue.
Women are different because they face challenges that men do not face in terms of their physiological well-being related to childbirth, of course, menstrual health on a longer term basis. And in terms of childbirth, of course, is also the issue of early pregnancies, which are more likely to happen in certain conflict areas, refugee settings, for example, situations where early marriage is more common, or forced marriage. The issue also of unwanted pregnancies and emergency contraception and abortion services, and how are these provided to women in need in emergency settings in war zones, I think is very critical to consider and to put at the forefront of the broader agenda for health and human rights and women in conflict zones.
Conducting research with soldiers I worked closely with also involved that noticing all the circumstances of injuries, but also noticing how they actually functioned, how their resilience is decreasing during war times. 6 months to 1 year later, after just being there where explosions happened, turned out that actually they had severe brain problems. Their memory was completely affected. The short-term memory did not work at all. So I had a young guy, 20 years old soldier, who again, as I mentioned, just being where explosion happened, not injured, no visible injuries, nothing. And around 1 year later, actually, he was not able even to go outside of the home, his home, do a grocery shopping and go back because he could not, from the supermarket, remember how to go back home. So complete debilitation of a person only because of the blast exposure. So this is that blast traumatic brain injury.
Torture is the great equalizer. None of us can avoid the trauma that's involved. Some of us become more resilient, more angry, and use that opportunity to be activists, to be advocates, to support others. Others of us take that trauma and it's inside.